One. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fantasy Table brought to you by the Blue Stable. We are back. The last time we were with you guys was before the Super Bowl, so it's been a bit. I know I've been taking a lot of the off season just trying to update my graphics, trying to see what works well going into this next season. I know Theo's been busy with school, including like Minnesota basketball, even though they haven't been doing too hot. They did win the first game of the Big Ten. Um, I'm sure by the time you're watching this, you will see that they probably lost to Maryland. But as an IU fan, I'm hoping they win because that means we get to play them next. So, yeah,
Yep, and I watched that game in person. I was there writing for it. Man, that Indiana's that's a good team. I mean, I don't want to face them, but I think they're going to lose against Maryland. But anyway, let's stick to football. Um, well, actually, I want to mention that we're going to try branching out on Instagram as well. Luke has been making, like he said, he's been making some dope graphics and check them out already. He's posted some and he's killing it every time. I'm excited to start rolling out that Instagram page for sure.
yeah. So if you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at the Fantasy Table, and our Instagram is fantasy_table. So go ahead, follow us in both of those places. We're going to try to put out content on both of those moving forward. More probably going to be a little sporadic here during the off season, but as we get closer to the season during draft time and like during the weeks, I'm sure we'll push out a lot more content, a lot more clips from the channel, and potentially even some like exclusive non-YouTube podcast type clips over there whenever there's breaking news or something like that. Um, but yeah, we'll go ahead and get into it. Today, the main focus is going to be about free agent destinations. Now, disclaimer before we get into everything, this is what we want these players to go, where we want these players to go. Now, we're not trying to predict where we think they're going to go because obviously a lot of mine would be different if that was the case. But yeah, it's all predictions. We're not going to really explain too much because if we did that, we would probably be recording this until I'm working tomorrow morning. So we're just going to keep it to just we're going to name the player, our destination, and move on. But
And
before
then
we get into
just like a couple, like I mean, if there's going to be a player that if you really want to say something, mention it,
yeah,
but we're not gonna drag on. So
no,
like we usually do.
right. Um, but before we get into that, we want to go into the news and notes from the recent news, and there's quite a bit of them. Starting off, Javonte Williams could be out into the 2023 season. This seems pretty similar to like uh, J.K. Dobbins this past year, where he had not just the ACL injury, but he had a couple other ligaments that were also damaged. And so it's going to take him a little bit longer than that year to get healed up and potentially won't get fully healed until like next season. So he might be one of those guys that we look at like J.K. Dobbins this past year and not draft him as high as we would like him and kind of push him down a little bit more because he might be more of a second half type player. The Chiefs are expected to decline Clyde Edwards-Helaire fifth-year option. Um, Seems pretty obvious to me they don't want him long term. They used Pacheco. Pacheco's played really well. Edwards-Helaire just hasn't seemed to fit right with the Chiefs, and probably best to move on.
I'm curious to see if they go free agent option to replace that running back spot, or if they just draft another late round running back and stick with the McKinnon Pacheco duo for the rest of the season, just roll with them. But
Yeah,
they switched a lot in that backfield. So they may need some quick firepower there.
yeah, I know McKinnon, his contract's up, so he's actually a free agent.
Mm.
So see if they bring him back or not.
They should. I mean,
They should, after what he did for him. They should. Washington released Carson Wentz. This is actually funny because we are recording this on Thursday, which is the 1 year anniversary of whenever Indy traded Carson Wentz to Washington. So
I didn't know that.
less than a
Damn.
year, Carson Wentz was the commander.
Time flies.
I'm sure it flies. Um, the Bucks plan to release Leonard Fournette at the start of the new league year, which is the 15th. So he is probably going to be a free agent, be able to sign wherever he wishes. The Titans general manager wants Tannehill to still be a Titan. This is They seem to be going all sorts of different ways because Derrick Henry has been shopped around, and now they're wanting to keep Tannehill. So it's just like they don't know whether to rebuild completely or if they want to contend or if they want to suck for Caleb Williams next year. Like they just don't know where they're going really.
It's all GM talk. I mean, you're gonna
Yeah,
say something positive
post string
about,
season.
yeah, you're gonna say something positive about your player, especially your starting quarterback. But reality is, if you're met with a nice quarterback prospect or another quarterback on the free agency list that's interested in playing, you're probably gonna take him over Tannehill any day. And I don't know what his
At this point,
cap.
it's free.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna save too much cap space with releasing him. I don't know about that contract. It might look appetizing to release him and try finding a quarterback, but then that adds more pressure onto Malik Willis and possibly whoever takes the job over Malik Willis. So, I mean, he didn't look good last season. So I doubt that they're comfortable putting him in for a whole 18-week NFL regular season.
Yeah, Tannehill's potential dead cap hit would be 18.8 million this year. So it is a potential out for them. His cap hit otherwise would be 36.6 million.
Woo.
Um, yeah. And then this past week, we've had a slew of re-signings, signings, tags, and everything. And we're just going to go through them real quick. Derek Carr got signed to the Saints, 4 year contract. Geno Smith is going back to the Seahawks on a 3 year contract. Daniel Jones to the Giants for 4 years, $40 million a year. I couldn't believe that,
Got
but
it.
good for Daniel Jones. He got his money. As for the tags, Tony Pollard got tagged, Evan Ingram got tagged, Josh Jacobs got tagged, and Saquon Barkley got tagged. Calvin Ridley got reinstated, so he is good to play for this next year. As I said already, Derrick Henry is being shopped around. Aaron Rodgers got visited by the Jets this past couple days, and seems like the Jets are pretty optimistic about it, but we'll see where this goes from there. Theo, do you want to say anything before we get to this next point on any of those players?
Um, I mean, I really want to break down someday. I don't know when, but the quarterbacks that have been signed, we still have a couple more free agency quarterbacks to be signed. So I feel like that's a good topic for another time. So, like breaking down how Derek Carr fits the Saints and the long-term dynasty effects of Derek Carr and Geno Smith and Seahawks, Daniel Jones and the Giants. The Geno Smith one, though, I do want to mention real quick, is interesting because he has around, I think it was just over $50 million of his contract is guaranteed within the first year of the 3 year deal. So it's a really good way to map out how the Seahawks are planning their franchise future. And they have a top 5 pick. I can easily see them picking up Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, whichever one falls to them, even if they trade up. but yeah, it goes to show that they're emphasizing that Geno Smith is definitely going to be the QB1 next season. Otherwise, Aaron Rodgers, the Jets, that would be a game changer, especially for Garrett Wilson owners, dynasty owners.
And Elijah
And
Moore, he still exists. But
if he isn't sent in the package for Aaron Rodgers, that's the thing, because
that is
Packers do
true.
need
That
a
is
wide
true.
receiver. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, Geno Smith seems like they're trying to almost make him as like their bridge quarterback potentially, having it just a 3-year contract like you're seeing Derek Carr and Daniel Jones both getting a 4-year deal. So I could easily see them if Anthony Richardson falls to them at 5, them taking Richardson and just developing him for the next couple years and letting him learn behind Geno before taking over. Hopefully not like a Jordan Love situation where he gets drafted and then just sits on the bench for the whole rookie deal.
I think
Uh,
Geno Smith is going to be a great mentor for a young
oh,
quarterback, and
he'd
especially
be
for
awesome.
Anthony Richardson, because Geno Smith's accuracy that he displayed this season was off the charts. He was one of the most accurate deep passers in the NFL. And to have Anthony Richardson, who's already been pretty accurate deep passing, I mean, he's going to learn so much if he gets drafted. That's who I want the Seahawks to pick. That's where I want Anthony Richardson to go, is the Seahawks. But that's draft.
Not the
This
Colts,
is free agency predictions, not not
not the
draft
draft.
predictions.
We got some time before that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about the combine, but like, dude's just a freak athlete, like highest quarterback we've ever seen via the RAS system, relative athletic score. That just insane. Before we move on to our next segment, let me tell you a little bit more about our sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy platform where it's just you versus the projections. You can pick more or less on many player projections that they have on any sport you watch. This includes like receiving yards, passing yards, rushing yards on like wide receivers, quarterbacks, and running backs, respectively. All you have to do is pick between 2 to 5 players, and you can win up to 10 times your entry. And that's not all. If you are a new sign on, you can receive a 100% deposit match up to $100 by using code BLUESTABLE. So if you deposit $10, they'll give you $10, which makes it $20. If you deposit $50, they'll also give you $50, making it $100. And if you do $100 to the max, they'll also give you $100, giving you $200. Download Prize Picks today and play daily fantasy sports with us. Make sure to use code BLUESTABLE, BLUESTABLE, when you sign up. The link is down in the description below if you want to download today. But anyway, let's get back on topic here. The main topic of this past week has been Lamar Jackson getting the non-exclusive franchise tag. So what the non-exclusive tag means is that Lamar can negotiate with other teams, and teams can send out an offer sheet, and then the Ravens can either choose to match that offer sheet and retain Lamar, or they can let him walk and they will receive 2 first-round picks for him. Now, this has been the topic of the week mainly because you don't find 26-year-old franchise quarterbacks almost available for that cheap. Like 2 first-round picks is way cheaper than what we saw Russell Wilson get this past offseason. But what has been weird is that so many teams with quarterback needs are out. They're saying that they're out publicly on Lamar Jackson, which is weird to me. I understand why, because it's most likely because the NFL is pissed that the Browns gave Watson that fully guaranteed deal, and now Lamar wants it because he's next in line, and rightfully so. Um, but it seems like teams do not want to give that to him.
The whole situation is messed up. Even going from how there are national reporters reporting that Lamar Jackson and the fact that he doesn't have an agent is hurting him in these negotiations. and how they put this non-exclusive franchise tag on him to test out with the market and see an unbiased opinion or his true value in the market, which makes sense. But the way that's being reported that teams are not interested, I can't remember the last time when there was a national reporter tweeting out that they're not going to trade for them when no one asked in the first place. There wasn't any rumors about the Dolphins going after Lamar Jackson. Like, there's so many, like let's say there's rumors appearing, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna make a hypothetical. Like the Chargers are asking for T. Higgins on the Bengals, and then Adam Schefter or another national reporter would tweet out like a day or two later, it's like, oh no, the Chargers have not had discussions with the Bengals, blah, blah, blah. But this is just coming out of nowhere. It seems like a smear campaign for Lamar Jackson, and it's insane. And I get it, the NFL wants to reset the quarterback market because the Browns completely destroyed it with that fully guaranteed Deshaun Watson deal, which is their fault. And I get it. Like, history has told us that the biggest contract is set the standard for what's to come. This is a very complicated situation, and I feel like the only way that how he could get out of it is for 2 firsts, and then they sign a contract. But I can't. Can you see Lamar Jackson being a Raven next season
Uh,
after
feels
all
so
of
tough
this?
because if he stays, like, does he sit out? But the thing is, like, if he stays, then obviously he probably has a different contract. So it's like, I don't know. It seems very hard for him to be going back to Baltimore. If he just, I think there's a deadline, isn't there, for teams to offer him something? No, whereas otherwise it's just the franchise tag, basically. I believe that's how it works. But
Yeah, but I don't know what day the deadline is. It might be the
I
new
don't either.
season, but
Yeah, but either way, like all in all, it's like I don't want to use the C word because I don't know for sure on what this all is, but it really seems like the NFL teams are banding together on this. And it's just unfortunate for Lamar that he was the next one up and he's the one getting screwed out of all this. Like with the Watson deal, like the last time we saw like a that much guaranteed money was Kirk Cousins, and we really didn't see anything in between. And now here we go again, where it seems like the teams just they don't want to give out that much guaranteed money. Um, I really hate it for Lamar, um, but yeah, I really don't know how he could play for the Ravens this next year. It just seems pretty dirty, if you
where
ask
do you
me.
have him playing? What are your
Um,
prediction for this one? I know we have him named as a free agent, even though technically he's not one, but he is definitely being shopped around like one. So
he is being shopped
that's what.
around like one. I had him on my wish list if we want to go wish list, um, was the Falcons. I thought he would be a really good fit down
And that
there,
was one of the teams that said that.
but they're out. But
Mm-hmm.
it's weird because it's like I mean I think they said the Panthers are out too, and it's like the Panthers are in that spot where they could use a young quarterback. Frank Reich's there now, um, but they don't really have enough to move up that high into the draft to get like a C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. They don't want to give up 2 firsts for Lamar. I don't know. It just all seems so weird because like Carolina would be good for him as well, but it just seems like everybody that makes sense for him is saying no. So yeah,
They need. It's kind of. I would be hesitant to pull the trigger if I was the Panthers too, because I want to be more confident in the health of my defensive backs before I pull a big move like that, especially 2 first
yeah,
round picks. If they do the matching offer, side of things, I guess just be aware that you got Brian Burns, like those studs. Like you got upcoming studs as well that their contracts, even though that they may have like a year or two left, they're coming up. So
Yeah, and I see that point, but to me, it's like, so say like the Panthers stay at 8 and Will Levis is available there. Would you trade Will Levis in the first for Lamar Jackson?
yeah,
Like that's all they're paying.
yeah.
There's no
I
back and forth. There's no like, oh, we need 3, 4 first round picks and 2 second round picks, blah blah blah.
mhm.
It's 2 first round picks and that contract.
I would 100% do it. If your first round draft pick is Will Levis, I'd do that. But if you say mention another player, it depends then. But I don't want to go down the hypothetical wheel on
But
that one.
I know people are talking about like Anthony Richardson and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
like Anthony Richardson, like what's his ceiling? Is it Lamar Jackson? Like we don't know. Anthony Richardson is such a high risk, high reward player. We don't know what he's going to be. Yes, he's an athletic freak, but he has not played an NFL down yet. Lamar is an MVP. He's shown what he can do. Yes, I know there's injury history with him. I know it's a lot more money for him. But when was the last time we've seen a 26-year-old franchise quarterback available for 2 first round picks?
Yeah, and like there hasn't been any deal made yet. Like that's the craziest
No.
part is that no one is jumping at this. I
And
mean,
the thing that sketches me out the most about this is that they're not even talking to him. They're not even asking him like, what are you looking for? What's your price range at? Like they just know that he wants that fully guaranteed deal and they are just shutting him down before even talking, which is the craziest part because it's like at least have a conversation with him. Like that's all you need to do. Like see where you guys are at. Maybe you can figure something out. But yeah,
I'll list.
I hate the Lamar situation. I feel so bad
Mhm.
for him.
Me too. I'll list my spot that I want him to go to. It's a spot that I haven't seen mentioned publicly yet. I think it would be the best spot for him, and that's
I feel like I know where you're going to say. I know you're saying this.
Lamar Jackson is returning home to Florida for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, that was not the spot I was expecting you to say, but I do like that as well.
I you got those young Chris got I mean not necessarily young, but
Yeah,
definitely proven wide receivers. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, a duo that Lamar Jackson has long needed. He is
needed,
that is something he's just
needed.
throughout his whole career hasn't had something like that. I mean, he's had Mark Andrews, but
Hollywood Brown, Rashad Bateman.
but yeah, but they get banged up. That's the problem. I mean, Chris Godwin was hurt for quite a bit last season, but I like the options available. He's got Rashad White in the back, Mike Evans, and then he's got Chris Godwin, and he's got Cade
Kate
Otton
Auden.
now. He's going to be coming up in the starting tight end position. Offensive line just needs to get bulked up a little bit. There's a lot of health issues there. I know they released Donovan Smith not too long ago, so possibly acquiring an offensive tackle through free agency or through the draft in the mid round, I imagine, because they would have to give up their first round picks. But they have their first round pick this year and they have it next year. So
Yeah,
Lamar going back to home is my option. I'm sorry that was a little bit of a breakdown. I said we were gonna not do that,
keep him.
but
This is a
I
special
did.
case though with Lamar.
This is yes, this is a topic that we wanted to break down. So I'm gonna give it its proper breakdown, and that's
I
my choice.
almost I almost thought you were
Oh,
going to say Sam Fran for a second there. Because
ooh,
oh, could you
that is
imagine him in that offense? Like that's what they're hoping Trey Lance can be. Like pretty well.
that is so. That would be dirty. That would be dirty if
That would be the dream team right there. Like gosh. But either way, let's move on. This nice segue.
yes.
Move on to our destinations list. Um, yeah, so we'll start off with quarterbacks since we're talking about Lamar already. Um, unfortunately, a lot of our free agents got knocked off the list with the signings and from this past week. But the last one that we really wanted to talk about that was a big one is Jimmy Garoppolo. So Theo, where do you want Jimmy G to go?
No breakdown. Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders. I mean, it makes sense. I know that's definitely one of the ones that I was considering. I also considered the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for him
That's a
to
good
once
one.
again replace Brady. But the place that I had him is the Jets, which obviously Aaron Rodgers would ruin that. But yeah, the Jets was my destination for him.
In terms of being Jimmy Garoppolo, the Jets is probably the best spot that I would want to be at. I
Oh
only
yeah,
like
100%.
I was looking at all the other quarterback options, and I was thinking of Lamar Jackson Raiders. I I don't know. I see him more going home to Florida rather than staying in Las Vegas. But
No
Jimmy G,
state
the
test.
Raiders, yeah, no state tax. Um, he's got Devontae Smith and a couple targets, so I think he would be solid there.
Yeah, some of the mentions that I want to mention there are also free agents: Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield. And a lot of those have been rumored to go back to their original teams, like Baker and Sam Darnold, but we'll see how it all shakes out. Some of them will probably be backups. Most of them will probably be backups, but there's still a chance that a few of these guys could be starters moving forward. Now to the running backs. We're starting off with Damian Harris. I'll go ahead and mention mine. The Bears. I have the Bears for Damian Harris.
Ooh, I have
I
the
feel like he would mix
Chargers.
really well with Herbert.
Ooh. Yeah, I agree with that. Even though they said Montgomery wasn't fit for that system, like that's Harris
Yeah.
isn't a guy you don't feel pressure to give carries to. I mean, New England didn't, so I don't feel like the Bears should either. But my pick was the Chargers.
Chargers.
I
I like
saw
that
the I saw the backup situation to Austin Eckler last season, how much they rotated. It was so frustrating. I feel like just plugging Damian Harrison solves all of it. And that's why I like him as the a Charger for fantasy because I'm not too confident if he goes anywhere else. But I know for a fact that they do like using the Eckler backup at Chargers, and that's where I like his value at.
And then we'll go ahead and stay with you for Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt, I have Miami Dolphins.
I do like that. I personally have the Broncos with the Javante Williams health situation.
See, I have that for another player coming up, and I'm not going to tell you which running back. I had that
Not yet.
same thought. I had that same thought for another player, though.
I just figured he's old. They like the old running backs apparently, so I'll go Kareem Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
But next up, we got Miles Sanders. I have the Chiefs for him.
I have the Eagles re-signing. He had
I
his
agree.
best season with them, so I don't see why he'd leave.
Yeah. All right. Next up, David Montgomery. Stay with you.
Stay with me. This is my guy, Broncos.
Broncos. Okay, there it is. I have the Bills for Montgomery. Maybe a surprise.
Wait, you said the
Next,
Bills?
the Bills. Yeah.
I like that
I feel
one.
like
I
he'd be a
do.
solid fit for them.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Jamal Williams. To me, he seems like such a Bill Belichick guy. I have him going to the Patriots.
I have the Lions. I'm scared of a negative regression if he goes anywhere else. So I have him re-signing there.
I feel like it's going to be a negative regression wherever he goes.
Uh, you're probably right.
Donta Foreman.
I have the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Interesting. I have the Cincinnati Bengals since they will maybe cut Joe Mixon.
Is what's P. Ryan's
Samaje,
contract.
he's the free agent.
That's a good signing then. I like that one.
I figured if they're trying to cut losses at money with Joe Mixon and P. Ryan's a free agent, I feel like Foreman, he won't be that expensive. He's still a good running back.
Just a 1-year deal too, right? You don't.
Yeah. Leonard Fournette. I also, again, have the Patriots for him.
Wasn't he already a Patriot? Am I dreaming?
I don't believe so, but I don't remember.
It might have been on my Madden franchise team. I don't know. I might
don't
be.
think he did.
I just see
Yes,
the
yeah.
name. I just saw his last
Yeah, just
name on the
Boston
Patriots
Jags.
jersey so clearly. So I guess
I gotta say, doesn't he feel like a Patriot?
that yeah. He
Every
does.
time that I was looking at his name, I just saw Patriots, and I wanted to put him somewhere else, but I just couldn't. I had to pick him.
Yeah. I did not do Patriots though. I did the New Orleans Saints.
Okay, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Alexander Madison.
This one was difficult. I picked
Was
2 teams because of the next player we're going to talk about. But for now, I said Bills.
Ooh, okay,
But
that would be fun.
yeah, but our next player that we're talking about is Joe Mixon, right?
Yes.
So if they let go of Joe Mixon, then I have Alexander Madison to the Bengals.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, Alexander Madison. I have the Rams.
With Cam Akers too. Is that a committee? Is that a committee?
No, they didn't believe in Cam Akers last year. Yeah, he
That's
played
fair.
well and everything, but he was out for how long at the beginning of the season. They
Mm-hmm.
played Darrell Henderson over him. And then last but not least, Joe Mixon, if he gets cut. I have the Panthers.
I have the Bills.
Yeah, that would be.
That's
Ooh,
why I feel like I have the Alexander Madison,
yeah,
Mixon sort of parallel universe thing going on right now. But the Bills need a rushing attack, and
you need somebody other than Singletary and James
yes,
Cook.
pay Mixon, pay someone. I mean, even if I don't know all the legal issues he's going
Or
through right
draft
now,
Bijan.
or draft, or draft Robinson, man. That solves all the problems pretty much.
That'd solve a lot. But moving on, we will go to the wide receivers. And we're going to start off, or actually, I should mention the rest of the running backs. Rashad Penny is a free agent, so is Jerick McKinnon, Devin Singletary, and Jeff Wilson. Quite a big list of running backs. Not a lot of like high tier running backs like you sometimes see, because obviously like Saquon got tagged, Josh Jacobs got tagged. All the guys that really meant something got tagged. But yeah, it's a long list, and the wide receivers is quite opposite. There is not many at all.
And I want
And we're going to go ahead.
you said that the rest of the running backs are not necessarily too big, and Jerick McKinnon's name was on there. But I do want to say, I would throw him in that group because I feel
He
like
is
the
one of
only
the
team that would treat him the way he should be treated was the Chiefs.
Yep.
So buyer beware on him. Even if he goes to another team, there's no way that he repeats that same production as he did with the Chiefs.
Yeah, he went crazy there at the end of the season.
League winner.
League winner. Yeah, for the wide receivers, I'll let you start with this one. Jacoby Myers, the biggest wide receiver this year.
I got Green Bay Packers.
I have the Bears once again getting a Patriots wide receiver.
So why'd you pick the Bears? I'm curious on this. You just needed a wide receiver to fill.
They have the most cap space, and they need to spend money this offseason. to fill their like 3 year minimum. And Jacoby Myers, they really need a wide receiver. Jacoby Myers is that guy who is pretty much the best free agent out there. And so I feel like they can just throw the money at him more than anybody else. And it gives Justin Fields a weapon.
It's good reasons. I didn't know about the 3 year limit.
Yeah, they said that, I guess, last, I heard this just today actually, but they said last year the Bears actually spent under like the minimum, but they were okay because their 3 year was fine. So this year they have to spend more to make that like go up
Man,
again. So they have to spend like more money than any other team already.
I
So
should have wrote down more bear predictions then.
yeah,
Would have been a little bit more accurate.
would have been a little more aggressive with them.
Yep.
Next up, Paris Campbell. My dream is the Colts, but in actuality, it would be the Bills.
Ah. See, I'm really hoping that one of these times we're gonna get the same team. Uh, Unfortunately, not for Paris Campbell. I had the New York Giants.
Ooh, that
Give him Dabble system. Watch him go.
yeah, that's fair. Uh, Next up, we have the old Robert Woods on here, Bobby Trees. You
I
good?
said retire.
See, I originally was not going to put a team just because of that, but I put Rams as kind of like maybe he'll like do like a 1 day retirement with the Rams, so that way I can get
The
this.
1 day deal.
Yeah, one of
The
those
one
one
day
day
contract.
retire
Yep.
with the team. But I mean, if they do release Allen Robinson, maybe they'll use him. So who knows?
Yeah,
Um,
Robert Woods on the Titans. I just want to say this quick. Robert Woods on Titans. That was his best opportunity to get volume. He did not get volume. This man, I yeah, he's not
he
going
was
to
a
be
great player,
draftable.
great player.
Yeah, I mean, he's shown it. He just didn't get any volume on uh in his team where there was volume everywhere.
Yeah,
It's hard to see injuries that he fought through. So I don't know if he's even going to be fantasy relevant next year. So
I gotta say it's going to be tough. Next up, we got Juju. I have him going back to the Chiefs, and from what we saw in reports, it seems like the Chiefs want him back. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I said the 49ers.
Ooh,
I want him
jeez,
wide receiver 3 on there. I feel like that's a
load him
perfect
up,
role for him.
and then we'll stay with you for Darius Slayton.
I said the Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh, that's interesting. I said the Cleveland Browns.
That was actually my second option for Slayton. I'm not joking
Was
you.
it?
I had it typed in, then I deleted it.
Yeah, I just feel like outside of Mari Cooper, like Donovan Peoples Jones was pretty solid, but I feel like they could use some more help there. DJ Chark, I have going to the Texans.
That's a great pick. I have the Patriots.
Ooh, okay. And then last but not least, we'll stay with you for Alan Lazard.
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Russell Gage situation all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have him going to the Giants. He's my Giants wide receiver this year.
That's a good pick. Yeah, yeah, he could play the imaginary Kenny Galladay role a lot better than the actual Kenny Galladay.
The actual what Kenny Galladay was supposed to be there for.
Yeah.
Um, and then for honorable mentions with the wide receivers, we got T.Y. Hilton. I wish he would come back to us, but I don't think that's going to happen unless it's to retire. Sterling Shepard, the poor guy that's just been injured, even though he produces every time that he comes back. And Jarvis Landry. Now, moving on, we got the tight ends. It's a very short list after Evan Ingram got tagged. And we're going to start off with Mike Gesicki. I have him going to the Jets.
I have the Green Bay Packers.
Ooh, that's an interesting fit. I like it. And then you can take our second and the last one of the tight ends with Dalton Schultz.
Um, I'm kind of second guessing this one. I'm thinking about it, but
I've been torn on this one. I had a tough time.
it's gonna sound weird when I say it, but I think later down the road it will make sense. I said the Chargers
Ooh,
because I know they got Everett,
okay.
but Everett's getting up
Yeah.
there,
He's getting very
and
up
yeah, I just think Schultz, if you sign him for a 4 year, you have a consistent tight end for Herbert.
there. Yeah,
So,
which he hasn't had so far, really, outside
mhm.
of Everett this past year. Um, this is a little weird, but I have the Lions,
I wouldn't
which is
say that's
odd.
too.
Do it.
I wouldn't say that's too weird. I mean, they just got rid of Hawkinson, so yeah, like you get rid of Hawkinson and you replace him
I gotta
with
say, the
Schultz.
reason I thought it was weird is that they didn't want to pay Hawkinson, but they're paying Schultz. But I felt like it
Yeah,
was.
that if they do that, that's typical Lion behavior. So I wouldn't
Very
put it
typical.
past them.
And then we will do the honorable mentions of Hayden Hurst, OJ Howard, the 2 touchdown week one, and then disappeared the rest of the season guy.
Damn.
Robert Tunyon, Irv Smith Jr. OJ Howard catching strays over here. I know
Yeah. Yeah.
it. But hey, it's the off season.
I
We're
want to
getting
say
into
this
it here.
though. I want to ask you this. Out of all your predictions, which one do you want most to happen?
Ooh.
Excluding Lamar Jackson, because I feel like, I don't know, Lamar Jackson is, of course, the biggest name. So,
Yeah, I mean, like I would love Lamar Jackson just to go anywhere that like actually wants him because I feel like Baltimore's kind of doing him dirty. So yeah. Um. Ooh, this is tough. If you have one in mind, you can go first while I look through this.
what I want most to happen is Paris Campbell on the Giants. I really feel like Dabble can do something with Paris
And
Campbell and that
show them
speed.
off.
It's just some like a way that Frank Reich never could. I mean, he was killer at Ohio State, slants, screens, you name it, man. Drags. He did it all in the short game, and Frank Reich used him a lot in the middle of the field as well. He was everywhere, and I get it. He's a wide receiver, supposed to be everywhere, but Dabble has a special mind, and I think he can definitely utilize Paris Campbell's abilities in that offense.
Yeah. So for me, I think it would be well. I kind of got a few that I want to mention, but first of all, it would be like Montgomery to the Bills, just because I want the Bills to get any sort of running back. But also, I would love to see Miles Sanders on the Chiefs, just because I want to see the potential of him. Because we've always like felt like he could be something better, and he has shown like this past season he was great. But I feel like he could be even better in the Chiefs system, and I would like to see that unlocked. But then for personal reasons, Kareem Hunt to the Broncos because that means Javante long term would be good for my dynasty team.
That Kareem Hunt to the Broncos, that would be killer. I would draft
I have
Kareem
both
Hunt
on my
pretty high.
dynasty teams, so
Woo.
yeah. But yeah, that wraps it up for us today. A lot of Lamar news, a lot of just hoping and ready for this free agency period. There's a lot of fun that is going to be had over these next few weeks, seeing who goes where. Um, so yeah, keep up to date with us on Twitter and Instagram. Um, Unfortunately, I can't make graphics 24/7 because I have a full-time job, but I will be posting them as often as I can. I'll try to get Theo set up on being able to do some himself too if he wants. Uh,
Thanks.
but yeah, we're excited for this next season. We're excited to keep pumping this out and keep on working at this.
Yes, we are.
Alrighty. Well, until next time, you guys have a good day, good evening, good morning, whenever you're watching this. Thank you and goodbye.